Welcome. Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting of January 27th, 2026. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members present and establishing the quorum are Council members Fulcher, Beaumont, Hanford, Walker, Gamble, Fisher, and Blair.
Thank you. Councilmember Fulcher, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item of business is public comments. This is limited for people to speak to the council during the council meeting. Pursuant to council rules of procedure, oral public comment is limited to in-person comment only and must comply with the standards set forth in the council rules. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Information on where to send written comments is on tonight's agenda and on the screen. Please note that if you wish to speak to the items scheduled for a public hearing this evening, there will be a separate opportunity to speak to that topic. We will now begin public comment. Clerk, were there any written comments received for tonight's meeting?
Yes, there was one written comment received that was forwarded to City Council earlier this morning.
Thank you. The first person signed up is Ben Lessett. Is that correct? Excuse me? Leday, thank you. Please come up and to the podium and right over there. Nope. Yep, there you go. Please state your name, area of residence, or association with the city, and we'll start the timer. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Ben Leday. I live in the Fraglands neighborhood, and I've been living in Monroe for a little over 6 years. I'm here today to talk about the installation of the flock cameras in our neighborhoods. And so according to an EFF report that came out in November 2025, taking data from December 2024 to December 2025, 3,900 agencies used 12 million searches to look into the public. That's only the registered agencies, not the warrantless searches that any civilian can do. There has been research of cyber stalking as well as tracking of protests, tracking based on racial bias, tracking civilians, not criminals, across state lines. There was a town in Illinois that had banned them, and they refused, like after shutting them down, they came back and put them up illegally. And the spreading of, sorry.
You're doing great.
The spreading of mass surveillance throughout our communities is just growing by the day. We're tracked based on our, even on our phone, when we're not using it, they track what we hear and what we do. Now we need to worry about where the cameras are in our neighborhoods. Like, this has to stop somewhere, and why not stop it now? Thank you.
Thank you. Devin Kinnison. Please state your name, area of residence, or association with the city, and then we'll start the timer. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Devin Kinnison. I have lived in Monroe for all 24 years of my life. I live on Main Street. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the phrase, if we have nothing to hide, we have nothing to fear. But privacy isn't about wrongdoing. It's about the rights we have as Americans to live our lives without the fear of the government looking over every action. Today, an invisible danger is being cast across our roads right here in Monroe, Washington. A company called Flock Safety has, in cooperation with our local government, installed 17 ALRP flock cameras with 5 more planned in the following weeks. These cameras are quietly recording our every move, creating a giant searchable database of all our actions under the pretense of public safety. A flock camera is not just a normal traffic camera. It is a device that can read your license plate number, make, model, and color. These cameras can even detect a small dent or a bumper sticker. But here's the danger. These cameras are networked between every city that use flock. When one city installs them, they aren't limited to the city that they are installed in. They feed to a national database with more than 80,000 cameras. These cameras can be searched by thousands of agencies across the country. It is a 24/7 automated surveillance state that never blinks, never forgets, and more importantly, never asks for a warrant. According to Monroe Police Department and Flock Safety, these cameras are not feeding our data to said database, but if there is one misconfiguration, software update, or change in Flock's policies, that can all change at the snap of a finger. By tracking every place you go, Flock cameras allow the government to reconstruct your entire life without ever proving to a judge that they have probable cause to suspect you of a crime. We were told that these cameras were for stolen cars and Amber Alerts, yet we have already seen this data being used to track women seeking reproductive health across state lines or help with immigration sweeps. When we let one company gain all this data, we create a tool ripe for abuse by hackers or future government that decides criminal activity is things you do every single day. Safety should never come at the cost of our freedoms. We cannot allow the convenience of modern technology to trample our rights as Americans. It is time to demand transparency and time to realize that a society where every movement is logged is not a society that is truly free. It is time for Monroe to take down the flock cameras.
Thank you. Ethan Teague? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, it was close, actually. That's pretty good.
What is it actually?
It's Teague. So,
Teague?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
good. Yeah. No,
Okay.
I expected it to be way wrong.
Okay. So I exceeded your expectations.
You did.
Thank you. Okay, please state your name, area of residence, or association with the city, and we'll start your timer. Thank you.
My name is Ethan Teague. I've been a lifelong resident, and I live in the Frylands area. Good evening. My name is Ethan Teague. I'm a lifelong citizen of Monroe. I was born and raised here, but tonight I'm speaking as a concerned neighbor. I wish to discuss the recent disappointing introduction of flock cameras. I want this council to know that while I speak softly, I'm holding back a lot of emotion. Do not mistake my lack of fire for my lack of anger. We chose Monroe because it's a place where community still means something, where we value our quiet streets and our independence. By installing flock cameras, you are unilaterally changing the social contract of this town. You are pivoting from a model of community policing to a model of mass surveillance. This isn't just about cameras, it's about the kind of town that we want to be. Do you want to be a place that looks at every car passing through as a data point, or a place that looks at every driver as a neighbor? Let's talk about the reality of this technology. We are being told this is for safety, yet we are outsourcing that safety to a private, for-profit corporation with zero local accountability. By handing over the intimate details of our daily movements, where we work, where we worship, who we visit, to a third-party database, you are presiding over a complete abandonment of this council's duty to safeguard the privacy of Monroe citizens. You are the gatekeepers of our rights, not the brokers of our data. History has a way of repeating itself in this chamber. Over a decade ago, this city installed red light cameras, and the response from the people of Monroe was loud and clear. It led to the first public initiative in our city's history, and ultimately, an overwhelming 68% of voters demanding those cameras be removed. We recognized then that automated policing wasn't about safety. It was about an overreach of government into our daily commutes. Because we deactivated those cameras on December 31st, 2013, because Monroe chose community trust over automated policing. 15 years ago, the people spoke, the cameras came down, and the message was clear. Monroe is not a surveillance state. I urge you to remember, the residents of Monroe have not changed. We still value our freedom more than your surveillance. There is a weight to being watched. When a mother drives her kids to the park or a resident goes to a support group meeting, they shouldn't have to wonder if their route is being archived in a digital ledger. That quiet Monroe we love is being replaced by a digital fence. When you blanket our streets with ALPRs, you strip away that peace of mind. You're telling the people of Monroe that their freedom is less important than a tech company's algorithm. Don't let Monroe just become another node in a surveillance network. I'm calling for an immediate stay on the expansion of this program, deactivation of their current operations, and a removal of these cameras. Our duty is to our neighbors. I hope yours is too. Thank you.
Thank you. Logan Hunt. Please state your name, area of residence, or association with the city, and we'll start the timer. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Logan Hunt. I've been a resident for almost 20 years, and I live in the Rainier View area of Monroe. Hi, my name is Logan Hunt. Like I said, I've been a resident for almost 20 years, and I am also a business owner, and I specialize in cybersecurity and software development. I'm here today to talk about the flock cameras, like my colleagues here. As a software and cybersecurity consultant, my job is to design, build, and maintain secure software systems, following the best industry practices and cybersecurity knowledge. It is clear to me that flock safety does not follow Cybersecurity 101. Their Silicon Valley move fast and break things mentality is a red flag when talking about taxpayer-funded surveillance tech. Don't take my word for it. Democratic members of Congress have written a letter to the FTC concerning flock safety business practices. Quote, Flock has received vast sums of taxpayer money to build national surveillance networks, but Flock's cavalier attitude towards cybersecurity needlessly exposes Americans to the threat of hackers and foreign spies tapping this data, end quote. For example, YouTuber Ben Jordan has recently put out multiple videos about these Flock cameras and their security practices, or lack thereof. Here are some of the Flock's most recent mishaps. Flock does not enable two-factor authentication for their account dashboards. This means that your Netflix and your Hulu account has more account protections from people watching videos than hackers watching the entire city via their central database. This is an issue because credentials to Flock cameras have allegedly been sold on the dark web, meaning that hackers can access Flock database systems. Researchers have also dismantled these cameras and discovered that pressing a certain sequence of buttons on these cameras can set it into a mode where it can be reconfigured. This means that anybody with a long stick in 30 seconds underneath these cameras can reconfigure them and potentially break in and do nefarious actions. In addition, Flock claims that these cameras have a data retention of 30 days, but it has been shown that when these researchers looked at the cameras and their SD cards, they found videos of the camera on the conveyor belt under quality assurance in the lab when it was created. Lastly, there are hidden costs associated with these Flock cameras. For example, in 2024, the city of Aurora, Colorado agreed to pay a $1.9 million settlement stemming from an incorrect license plate hit. Skagit County also has recently ruled that all data collected by Flock cameras are public domain. This means complying with public information requests may cause undue stress on the city and overburden police departments. Lastly, Flock has been known to increase the prices of their cameras. Recently, they have increased their $2,000 a year contract per camera to $2,500. When this price goes up yearly, that means that taxpayers are on the hook for this difference. In short, Flock safety poses a threat to taxpayer on multiple fronts. Flock encroaches on our privacy, tarnishes our rights, and costs us in taxes.
Mr. Hunt, your time is up.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Tasha Teeter. Please state your name, area of residence, or association with the city, and we'll start the timer. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Tasha Teeter. I live on Whale Street, and I moved here in 2010. I am also here to talk about the Flock cameras. I want to raise a few particularly salient events. Two counties, one Skamania County, Washington, and Lake County, Florida, both have disabled their entire networks of Flock cameras after it was determined that they were a breach of the public trust. Eugene, Oregon has also disabled, being a single city, has also disabled their cameras and ended their contract with Flock after it was discovered that one of the cameras was activated without the police chief's knowledge. Evanston, Illinois in particular stands out as well because they had ordered the cameras deactivated and taken down. Flock did not comply and were in fact caught putting them back up and reactivating them afterwards. I would also like to raise the event of a wrongly accused person in Colorado, a Denver woman by the name of Chrisana Elser, who was wrongly accused of package thievery using the evidence from these particular camera systems. An officer showed up at her house and said, according to reporting, quote, you know we have cameras in that town. You can't get a breath of fresh air in or out of that place without us knowing, correct? Unquote. I personally, and I think many people in this chamber would agree, that such a sentence should not be able to reasonably be uttered by a police officer to someone like that. That is a blatant police state-like situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak tonight? Okay, seeing no one else would like to speak, the public comments portion of the meeting is now closed. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the 2024 fiscal year audit at exit conference. Ms. Elsam, will you please introduce this item?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to introduce Erica and Courtney from the State Auditor's Office, and they will be presenting the 2024 fiscal year-end audit results. I will hand it over to them.
Welcome.
Well, thank you all for taking a few minutes this evening for us to go over the results of your most recent audit. My name is Courtney Emmett. I'm the audit manager for Team Everett. With me today is Erica Davies, and she was your audit supervisor throughout the duration of the audit. So we have a presentation to go through with you, but we also provided a packet. You don't need to have that in front of you. We won't be going through it page by page. It's meant to be more as a takeaway, as it includes all of the items that we'll be discussing with you. So with that, we just want to start and talk a little bit about our office. So as the Washington State Auditor's Office, we are tasked with auditing all uses of state funding and state and local funding. And so we conduct audits across Washington State. And our goal and our hope with every audit is that by providing an independent review, we are giving you the results of kind of where things are at to help improve the transparency within your city so that you as decision makers can rely upon the information and make decisions with it. But we also hope that that provides transparency to your citizens and stakeholders and anybody that needs to have a better idea of how things are going at the city, that they can take a look at that report and gain that assurance and understanding. And so our goal today, we're going to go through the results of the audit. Our goal is to answer any questions that you might have. Please feel free to stop us at any point if you have questions, but we also have time set aside at the end as well. So the first area that we're going to talk about is your accountability audit. This audit was conducted for the period of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024. The goal of an accountability audit is to take a look at any laws, regulations, contracts, your own policies and procedures, really anything that you are required to be in compliance with. We're taking a look at whether or not you have adequate controls and procedures in place to make sure that you are compliant with those items. And so what you're seeing on the screen and what you'll see in the report, especially in that gray box, that is directly from your report, and it says that the city has complied with all areas applicable to state laws, regulations, so policies, basically giving assurance that we didn't identify any significant concerns throughout the review of our accountability sections, which is great. This is exactly what you want to see. You're actually going to hear a lot of stuff that we're going to say this is what you want to see because we don't have a lot to report to you tonight, which is great. So more specifically, the areas that we took a look at, so there's a lot happening at the city. If we were to audit every department and every area that you have going on, we would be here year-round, and we understand nobody wants to see the auditors any longer than we need to be here. So we conduct what's called a risk-based audit approach, meaning that when we start your audit, we do some planning procedures to take a look at really what's been going on at the city for the period under review. And then from there, we decide where we're going to focus our time. And so the areas that you see are where we focused that testing this year. And so we took a look at Accounts payable, specifically focusing on your utility billing, looking at how the payments are created to make sure that there is accuracy, as well as any adjustments, and then making sure that the collections are being handled correctly. We also took a look at your municipal court, again, looking at cash receipting and adjustments with that as well. Also looking at your trust account activity and then system user access. So there's a variety of different areas that we looked at in that. For accounts payable, we actually followed up on a prior year management letter that you had received in your last accountability audit. And so we took a look at whether or not those items had been addressed. And so then, so that was really focused on general disbursements and then electronic funds transfers, making sure that there is a process in place should the accounts need to be updated and changed. We also focused on payroll. One area that we have seen across, especially police departments and fire districts, this one was specifically focusing on your police department, was whether or not shift trades, which is a common practice, and there's no concern with having shift trades, but whether or not those shift trades are really being monitored and being traded in a one-to-one basis to make sure that there's no employee that's benefiting more than another from having those shift trades. We also took a look at your treasury activities, really looking at banking activity, just to take a look at some of those transactions, making sure that they are supported, allowable, and we didn't identify any concerns with that. And then lastly, at every audit that we take a look at, we look at your open public meetings, focusing mainly on your meeting minutes to make sure that we don't identify any indications of issue with that, as well as your financial condition, looking for any indicators of financial distress. And so there's a lot there that we took a look at, obviously, for a 2-year period of time. But as I mentioned, we didn't identify any areas that were major recommendations that we are including in your report. So all great news. So great job to the city for working through it with us on all of these areas, but really making sure that you have good controls and good processes in place. One thing I did want to note, as I mentioned, there was a follow-up on a prior management letter having to do with electronic payments. We did note that as in progress. It was originally in the last audit and management letter. We've reduced it to what's called an exit item. We often call these housekeeping items. They're our lowest level of reporting. And the reason why we have it in progress is that we did see that there was progress made to ensure that there is a good process in place for when there are requests for account changes, whether that be from a vendor or from one of your employees for their payroll payments. However, we do recommend that there is actually, those procedures are in writing, mainly to make sure that the process is consistent so that it's clear how those changes should be handled and monitored to hopefully prevent any potential instances of cybersecurity or anything of that nature coming to the city. So other than that, we decreased that, but we do note that there is still one more item to address with that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Erica.
All right, as we transition to talking about the second type of audit that we conducted for the city, which is our financial statement audit, we are going to circle back to something we introduced at the entrance conference, which is our office's what's called the Financial Intelligence Tool, the FIT tool. And so the snapshot that you see at the right hand of your screen there is the financial health snapshot for the city of Monroe, based on the information that was uploaded as a part of the period under audit, so for 2024 here. Some things to note about our FIT tool is these indications here are performed, they're financial ratios that our office performs, not only for your city, but the data that is uploaded from all local governments across the state of Washington. The ratios, we've come up with some benchmarked expectations, and the data that is here, it gets compared to those benchmarks. And then there's something called indicators that if there's not meeting those expectations, those will be highlighted in either orange or red here. So you'll see that there are a couple of items here that are flagged as either orange or red. However, as a part of the audit, we did look into these items, and we noted that they were mainly due to some intentional spending of some of the COVID funding that the city did in 2024. And so some of those funds that the city had received in 2022, 2023, you built up and had specific intentional purposes for them and spent them in 2024, which caused some of the decreases in your overall cash position, which caused some of those indicators. So we don't have any recommendations related to this area because that was an intentional act by management. And so it's all about just making sure that the city is aware of your financial position, that you're monitoring it, and that any of the items that are outside of those expectations have some type of intentional explanation like that. So that's great. There's a QR code there if you want to schedule a personalized fit demo from our LGS team as a part of our office. We'd be more than happy to help you set that up and get you more information about that if you would like. So about the second audit that we perform for the city every year, the financial statement audit, unlike the accountability audit, this is just for a one-year period. And so we conducted our audit for the period of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. And the goal of a financial statement audit is to issue an opinion as to whether or not your financial statements are free from material error and can be relied upon by external users to make decisions. And so we do things such as look at your bank reconciliation, make sure that you're reporting your beginning cash balances, your revenues, your expenditures, your ending cash, that all of that reconciles and looks good. And the results of that, as you can see here on our screen, we are issuing what's called an unmodified or clean audit opinion based on the regulatory basis of accounting, which is the BARS manual, which is a prescribed method of accounting that our office prescribed, and that is completely allowable to, in fact, use. You'll see here that we also issue what's called a dual opinion, which is that second bullet point, the adverse opinion on US GAAP. That is mainly just an item in our report to say that the city didn't prepare your financial statements in accordance with GAAP. However, you didn't intend to report your financial statements in terms with GAAP. And so that is more just technical language that audit standards require us to have included in our audit report. So good, clean opinion there. On the right hand, it talks about internal controls and compliance. And so we do talk to your finance staff about the method for how they prepare the financial statements, how they do things such as journal entries or any adjustments to the general ledger or anything like that, in order to see if there's any holes in those processes that could lead to big misstatements on your financials. And that box on the right there just shows that we didn't identify any sort of significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, which is audit speak for those big holes in those processes or any instances of non-compliance that we would deem to be material to the financial statements overall, which is great. So great news. A couple of items that audit standards require us actually to report on while we have you all here today is we didn't identify any material misstatements that were corrected during the audit, which is great. We did have a few uncorrected items that have been provided for management's review and consideration for correcting in subsequent audit periods, but those items are deemed insignificant. They don't affect our opinion on the financial statements whatsoever. And then additionally, we did also address what's called the risk of management override of controls. And so this risk is something that we evaluate during all financial statement audits that we conduct. And it is basically addressing the risk that even though you could have processes in place that try to prevent things like misstatements or intentional false adjustments to accounts or anything like that, what kind of processes would kind of catch those things. And so we do things such as reviewing journal entries, making sure that they have both somebody that's preparing them and then a second person that's reviewing them before they're entered into the GL system in order to make sure that none of that is going on. And we are very happy to say that we didn't identify any instances of management overriding any of those those controls, which is great. A few closing remarks. At the entrance conference, we did provide an estimate for our audit services at the beginning of the audit, and we just wanted to circle back and let you know that we are in alignment with that original estimate that we provided. The next audit of the city is scheduled to take place this fall, and it'll be the same two types of audits, the accountability for public resources and the financial statement audit. Please note that if the city expends over $1 million in federal funds in a given fiscal year, that would trigger a third type of audit. And so you would want to have your finance department keep track of that and then inform our office if that is the case, as we would need to get you earlier on in the audit schedule because there is a federal deadline for that audit at the end of September. And then we have provided an estimated cost for the next audit in your audit packet for your budgeting purposes. As far as report publication goes, audit reports are published on our website and available for the public to view. If you have not already signed up to be notified by email when a report is released by our office, we would encourage you to do that. It's a very simple process on our website for subscription services, and then you'll be notified immediately when that report gets released. We expect the city's reports to be published on our website in the next 1 to 2 weeks. And when those reports do get released, it'll also trigger an audit survey to go to members of staff and members of executive management here. We would just encourage any feedback that you have about the audit process. That survey is able to be forwarded on to anybody who was a part of the audit process or anybody that would like to provide feedback. And then lastly, we always like to just have some audit highlights or some shout outs. And so we really wanted to just thank all city officials and staff for all of their timely communications throughout the audit process. In particular, we wanted to thank Julie for all of her efforts for serving as the audit contact here, going through her first audit process with us this year, and just for all of her hard work in ensuring the process ran as smoothly as possible. With that, as Courtney said, very clean audit results, so a rather quick presentation, but does anybody have any questions that we can answer?
Any questions, council? No questions, it looks like. Great.
Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
The next item is item 5.1, Resolution 2026-002, supporting Monroe School District Proposition Number 1. Before we proceed with the hearing, please note that the rules and procedures that apply to this hearing are available in the agenda packet and on the city's website. To summarize, after the hearing is open, city staff will present a staff report, and council members may ask questions for clarification of staff or wait until another time.
Nobody signed up. I'm
Nobody-
getting there.
Oh. We've got, yeah, a little slower tonight. Okay. So no one has signed up. Just go to Ms. Knight. Yeah. So Ms. Knight, please provide the staff report for this public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. The issue in front of you this evening is Resolution 2026-002, supporting the Monroe School District Proposition 1. The intent is to hold the public hearing in order to provide equal time for opposing views, but there is nobody here this evening to participate in that public hearing. The issue is coming to you because it was requested by several council members at 2 meetings in December, on December 2nd and December 16th. This public hearing was being noticed and held pursuant to RCW 29B.45.010, subsection 1, subsection A, and staff has published the notice for the public hearing in the January 16th, 2026 edition of the Everett Herald, and we posted a notice in the lobby at City Hall, and a copy of the notice is attached to your agenda materials. So with that, I will turn it back over to Mayor Cuddeback to continue discussion of the resolution.
Thank you. Do any council members have any questions of staff? So seeing no questions, this is the conclusion of the public hearing. Are there any objections to closing the hearing? Hearing no objections, the hearing is now closed. There is a requested action. Is there a motion, council? Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm going to make the requested action, but I just want to make a statement, first of all, that just recognizing that we have no say or control over school district issues and that we are completely separate bodies. However, recognizing that our unique position with the city, I feel like our verbal support for these resolutions in improving our school district, which falls within our city, will enhance our city and definitely benefit our city as a whole. So that's why I'm moving to approve Resolution 2026-002, expressing support Monroe School District number 103, proposition number 1, bonds to build, repair, replace, and improve school facilities, $152,048,846, and enter in supportive findings.
Second.
A motion has been made by Councilmember Hanford and seconded by Councilmember Gamble to approve Resolution 2026-002, expressing support for the Monroe School District number 103, proposition number 1, bonds to repair, replace, build, repair, replace, and improve school facilities. $152,048,846, and entering supportive findings. Any discussion? Councilmember Fulcher.
As previously stated in both December meetings, I will be voting against this, although I have no problem in each of us individually supporting this, and as a lifelong learner in the Monroe School District, I am a fan. But I believe it's inappropriate for us to use our position as a council as a whole to tell our people to raise their taxes for something that is their individual decision. I'll be voting no.
Thank you. Raising your flag?
Yeah.
Councilmember Gamble.
Dropping my flag.
Yeah.
I'm trying to raise my flag. No, I appreciate you bringing it back, and I am very much interested in, I know part of this proposition, or that's in here, is the discussion about upgrading of the facilities from a security system perspective in the schools. I know we have a partnership with the school district, with our school resource officers. We have talked about that in the past, and I will be, voting in favor because I think this does send the right message. We support a lot of different things, whether it's, an airport in Everett 12 years ago or whenever it was when we did a proposition, or, signing on for different bills or whatever the case may be. And, good schools, they support us with theirs. We obviously don't have any, as Councilmember Hanford said, but I fully support our school district. And also, once we get, through this, and if it does pass, I would really like to open that conversation to make sure that, I would love to see a presentation, actually, to be honest with you, on what those security enhancements that they're talking about at the schools, because I know we've talked about this in the past with some of the incidents that have happened across the country. So anyway, thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Administrator Knight or Mayor Cuddeback, do you guys know, is this precedent, has the city expressed support in this way for a levy or a bond in the past for fire or school or the library, what have you?
Yes, in fact, the template that you see was taken from an earlier conversation for a similar measure that was put forward by the school district.
By the school district?
Yes.
Okay.
I know that when I sat on council, I forget what year it was, we did do a resolution in support for the school district.
Gotcha.
Is that it, Councilmember Walker? Yes. Councilmember, oh my gosh, Fisher.
It's okay, it happens to me all the time. Very forgettable face. I am in support of this. I do understand Councilmember Fulcher's concern with this. I by no means want to tell people how to vote on certain things. For me, this is us supporting education in our community, which I think is vitally important. And the Monroe School District is the one that's in charge of that. So don't look into it too much deeper than that on my end. I want to encourage healthy education and a healthy school district. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. I am a school district employee, so I'm wondering if I should recuse myself from this vote.
Councilmember, I don't believe that that's formally necessary given the context, but you are welcome to do that or free to do that if you choose.
I choose to do so.
Choose? Okay. Do we need to do anything for the record?
The minutes should note that Councilmember Beaumont has recused herself and left the room and did not participate with vocalization of any support or opposition for the proposal.
Thank you. Councilmember Blair.
I also, I like that Councilmember Fulcher brought up that point. I think this is a unique situation because our school district owns property in our downtown area, and some of the things that they're planning on doing in this bond and levy would enhance that and would enhance the community connections and help youth and families and people to be healthy. I was on the facility advisory committee that with the school district that was reviewing all of these things, and in this case, I think that the city and the school district have the shared interests in those things, and support is my support, and I do think we should be giving support in this case.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker?
I've had a really tough time with this one over the last few weeks just because I completely understand the sentiment, and again, also attended all of my schooling here, went to Salem Woods. It could definitely use some improvements. So I understand the purpose of the bond, but I like Councilmember Fulcher said, I question kind of our role and responsibility in doing this. I have gone back and forth. I think that as it relates to the bond, Councilmember Blair made a good point that I think it does work towards the city's interests in Imagine Monroe. The capital improvements that'll be made at the schools are going to help our residents and our families, and the security improvements will protect our kids as well. So in principle, I have questions about us doing this as a council, but I support the propositions themselves, and I understand the reasoning for the bond. So I'm going to be supporting the bond itself, but I will be voting different for the levy.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Perfect. Hey, and looking through some of these, the resolution, I noticed, I don't know if this, obviously I'm in support of this. I don't know if this would help other council members. Is there a way to strike things out of that if we would like?
Yes, if you take action on the motion that's currently in front of council and make a motion to suggest something different.
Okay, so would you like my suggestion later, if this is approved, instead of now?
There's a motion on the floor.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's been seconded, so that the appropriate approach would be to move to amend.
Okay, so I would move to amend then the resolution that's written for the motion that is on the floor. And it is page 1, line D, and there was one other place, and I think just the bottom of it, again, I'm in support of this, but the bottom sentence where it says, City Council desires to formally express its support for proposition number 1 and urge voter approval thereof. I think the and urge voter approval thereof is something that I'm not necessarily comfortable with. I feel like then I am in my position saying, you must vote for this, instead of just saying, please go vote and be aware of this proposition. We are in support of education. And I don't know, I'm curious if others feel the same, if that changes any opinions or not, but that was one of the lines where I was like, that one felt a little funny to me.
Attorney Lowe?
Thank you.
If I could, thank you,
Yes.
Madam Mayor. It's entirely appropriate for that amendment to be moved, seconded, if there is a second, and then made. It's entirely appropriate to amend or revise the proposed resolution to that effect. My only additional comment would be to note that that same language also appears in section 2 of the resolution in the operative provision. So to the extent that Councilmember Fisher would like to see that particular language excised from the document, the council should be aware that that also appears in section 2 as well as in the findings. So it may make sense to have both of those references struck as part of the proposed amendment.
Thank you. And I need to call for a second. Yes. Is there amended motion? Okay. Councilmember Walker?
Did we do a similar motion or take similar action for the bond that the city ran last year? Do you recall? Okay. I had thought that we weren't allowed to do that, and I don't know if Attorney Lell can speak to that.
I'm not familiar specifically with the proposal that you're referring to, but I will say that under state law, the general rule that you as public officials are required to adhere to is that you cannot use public facilities, which would include the trappings of your office, like the council dais and your official roles here, to support a particular ballot proposition or a particular political candidate. But one of the exceptions to that rule is what is before you tonight. State law does allow you to take a collective position, voting as a whole council on a vote, a resolution, or a similar measure that expresses support or opposition to a particular ballot proposal. So what you're being asked to do tonight, the motion that's in front of you, is consistent with state law, and it's not dependent on whether or not the city of Monroe is the proponent of the underlying ballot proposition, if that's your question.
Got it. No, that was helpful, because I thought that back then we couldn't do something like that, because as the city or as the council at the time, we were unable to legally. And if that was the case, and we couldn't even run something to support our own, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just nodding to agree with you. I believe that that's a fairly common practice, but again, I need to go back and look at the specific proposal that you're referring to. But for purposes of tonight's proceeding, the proposed resolution is consistent with state law, and to my understanding, the city has followed the procedural requirements that are necessary to ensure that compliance. The notice of tonight's meeting and the public hearing notice included the full ballot number and proposition itself, and you have, as a council, have afforded the public and other members of the council an equal opportunity to express an opposing view. So from my perspective, you've satisfied all of the relevant state law requirements.
Thank you. And then something like this does not need to be a unanimous vote by the council, even though it's an expression of support by the council itself?
That's correct. It does not need to be a unanimous.
In principle, I disagree. I mean, that is kind of surprising to me because it is the council's expression as the council, except if there is dissent on the council, I don't really understand that. So I'm actually I'm going to be voting against this.
Okay. Any other discussion? So a motion has been made as amended by Councilmember Fisher and Councilmember Blair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Just to be clear, this is just for the amendment.
Just for the amendment. Yep. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Can you raise your hand so I can get a sense? So 6-0.
I guess I can vote on the motion.
And then we have to do the,
Yes, and then we need to do a vote for the motion as amended.
okay,
The resolution of support with the strikeouts that were just approved.
okay. And does that go back to the original people who made the motion?
You just take the vote.
Okay, all right, we will take the vote on the motion as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So that was, can you raise your hand? Okay. All those opposed say no.
No.
The motion passes 4-2. Thank you. The next item is item number 5.2, Resolution 2026-003, supporting Monroe School District Proposition Number 2. Similar to the previous hearing, the rules and procedures that apply to this hearing are available in the agenda packet and on the city's website. For the record, I'm informing all parties interested in these proceedings that the city clerk has forwarded to the city council all timely written or otherwise recordable comments that have been submitted regarding the subject matter of this hearing. Ms. Knight, please provide the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. The issue in front of the council this evening is Resolution 2026-003, supporting Monroe School District Proposition Number 2, which is the replacement of the expiring educational programs and operations levy. This issue too was asked to come back to City Council by several council members in December of 2025. The public hearing allows time for opposing views. The hearing is being held in pursuant to RCW 29B.45.010 subsection I and A, and staff has published the notices for the public hearing in the January 16, 2026 edition of the Everett Herald and posted the notice in the lobby of City Hall, and a copy of the notice is attached to the agenda materials.
Okay, council, any questions? Councilmember Beaumont.
I would also like to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk, has anyone signed up? Did anyone sign up for this public hearing? No. Okay. See no one else wishes to speak on this matter? Okay. Do any council members have any additional questions for staff? Okay, this is a conclusion of the public hearing. Are there any objections to closing the hearing? Hearing no objections, this hearing is now closed. There is a requested action. Is there a motion? Councilmember Fisher?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-003, expressing support for Monroe School District Number 103, Proposition Number 2, replacement of expiring educational programs and operations levy, and entering supportive findings. With that, if I can just do this all at once, I would also like to amend it and take off the, again, letter D, page 1, after number 2, and urge voter approval thereof. And the other place that I can't seem to find again that Mr. Lau is really good at
I believe it's in section 2.
section 2. Thank you.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Councilmember Fulcher.
You already can guess my vote on this. I would like to suggest we do a further amendment and say we, the undersigned council members of Monroe, Washington. So it is not a consensus.
So noted. Do we have a second on that?
I second.
Councilmember Blair, seconds. Councilmember Walker, did you have your flag up?
For discussion, but if we need to vote on that first.
Okay. We have a vote on the floor, first by Councilmember Fulcher, seconded by Councilmember Blair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Can you raise your hand on that one? So we have 3. All those opposed?
Aye.
3. Motion fails.
You gotta break it.
A tie-breaking situation, Madam
Yes.
Mayor.
Oh, I'm the tie-break.
You're the tie-breaker.
Wow, this is,
And I'll defer to the city clerk if she has a
Yeah.
different view.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm also trying to figure out exactly where this amendment is taking place. Is it in the motion language itself, or if you want it amended?
It was an amended motion. Heather.
so should we have voted on the first one?
Because this is,
The amended.
the motion to amend is to add language, we, the undersigned council members. Is it adding that to the beginning of move to?
Yes, Fulcher.
Where it says we express our support and used to say we would urge you to vote for it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Excuse me.
So you want to add that language to D then? Okay.
To remove the idea that it's the entire council, but it is the undersigned.
Thank you, I understand.
Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. The reason I voted against, maybe I'm totally wrong, but if I remember right, when these resolutions are done, we sign those. And so if you don't sign it, then it's obvious that you didn't support it. So that's why I didn't feel this was needed, but that's all.
Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, and then the only other thing I would say is that there's a lot of different positions that we take where we're not gonna be 100% in agreement, but that's why we vote, and sometimes I'm the minority. Actually, a lot of times I'm the minority. And so, that's part of the process. So, but the city council supports it in the body because it passed, and anybody can go and look at the record. So, if we do this for everyone, that's gonna be a lot of stuff as we move forward.
Councilmember Fulcher.
Which is why you can vote down this amendment if you'd like. There you go.
Yeah. So I believe we have a 3-3. Yes. Attorney Lau.
Actually, I won't take credit for this thought, but one of my colleagues here at the staff table did recall that I think that the individual council signatures is actually more consistent with a letter of support that the city council has previously done in other contexts. So it's unusual for a resolution, which is supposed to be by design signed by the mayor. But I don't believe there's anything illegal with the motion approach that's been proposed, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The multiple signatures of individual council members on the document is more consistent with a letter of support than a resolution of the city council.
Thanks, Chief John.
Thank you. So I believe I break the tie. Is that what's next?
Yes,
Okay.
Madam Mayor, you would vote to break the tie. This is one of the categories of votes that you
Okay.
can exercise your tie-breaking authority.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And in hearing that council members do not sign this resolution in support, I will vote in favor of the amendment.
You're voting in favor of adding the words "be undersigned"?
Yes. Just to make it clear to the public.
We don't have the council members normally sign.
Maybe the amendment should be that the following council members, instead of we be undersigned.
As I've understood the motion, there was just a tie-breaking determination on, it would be essentially to add signature blocks for particular council members who voted in the affirmative majority on the underlying
Correct.
approval. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Again, it's unusual, but it's to my knowledge, not unlawful.
Thank you. Jody, Councilmember Walker.
If it'll help with the situation with the tiebreaker, and actually it will, I'd like to change my vote. I think Councilmember Gamble made a good point that if this is going to be the precedent for all votes going forward on resolutions or ordinance, it doesn't really make sense. So,
Wasn't it already voted on and, yeah, it was already
Okay,
voted,
no worries.
settled. Jody, do we have to vote on the original motion? Okay.
On the amended motion, I'm a nay.
On the amendment only, who voted yes? It was 3-3, so. it was
And Walker.
Claire, and Wiltshire.
Yep.
Walker, Claire, and thank you. And now we need to vote on the original motion. Wait, we still have, original motion to approve the resolution with the strikeouts and the added language of newly undersigned. That's what you're voting on now.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
So raise your hand, please. It's easier to see. Okay. All those opposed say no. Okay. Motion passes 5-1. Thank you. Does somebody want to get Councilmember Beaumont? I don't know. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. The next item of business is the consent agenda. Councilors, or a motion? Councilmember Hanford,
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
is there a second? Motion has been made by Councilmember Hanford and seconded by Councilmember Fisher to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion passes 7-0. The next item is unfinished business, item 8.1, Resolution 2026-001, 2026 Council Meeting and Committee Meeting Calendars with City Clerk. Jody Wyckoff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is a resolution to approve your 2026 meeting calendar. This was originally introduced at your January 13th meeting, and I just realized I said 25. During that meeting, a majority of council requested staff bring back a revised resolution that would add the first Tuesdays back into your regular meeting schedule. I did provide two options just to make it nice and clean in case anybody had changed their mind since that meeting. Option 1 proposes that the first meeting of each month is reserved for special meetings and workshops only. And option 2 proposes to add those meetings back to the calendar as regular study sessions. If we choose to go with option 2, as I mentioned last time, we will be bringing back an ordinance to amend code because we have to name our regular meetings in code. So that will come back to you at a future meeting. I think that is it. I'm turning it back to the mayor.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing no question, there is a requested action. Is there a motion for this item? Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve Resolution 2026-001, setting the 2026 regular meeting calendar for City Council and legislative committees.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second for option 1.
Thank you. I was just going to ask, like, what option are you putting forward? Is it option 1 or 2?
Option 1.
Thank you.
And that's what's seconded.
Yes.
Any discussion? Okay, a motion has been made by Councilmember Beaumont, seconded by Councilmember Hanford to approve Resolution 2026-001, setting the 2026 regular meeting calendar for City Council and Council legislative committees. I'll say option 1. Any discussion? Councilmember Fisher.
I'm sorry, with all of this going on, what's the difference between option 1 and what we're on right now?
Option 1 retains the first meeting of each month as reserved for a special meeting or workshop only, meaning that you would not have a regular meeting scheduled for the first Tuesday of each month. That is option 1. That's what I originally brought to you at the beginning of this month.
Okay.
Option 2 adds that first Tuesday back in as a regular meeting.
Okay.
So if we didn't need a meeting, we would have to cancel it. That's option 2. So the motion on the floor is to approve option 1.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 6-0, or 6-1. I'll learn to add by the end of this night, okay?
Thank you.
The next item is council member reports. I'm going to start right in the middle in the hot seat with Councilmember Hanford.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Now that the audit folks have left and we're no longer trying to prove that we are being good stewards and keeping our heat off in council chambers, I would propose that for future meetings, we either have the heat up or provide blankets, because I am seriously frozen right now.
We did look into it, and we apologize.
Yes.
Warmer than it was this afternoon.
Jenkins got his head down.
Man, I really like this. Now I know what it is.
And that's all I have.
That's all you have. Thank you. Councilmember Beaumont.
No report.
Thank you. Councilmember Fulcher.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember, I'm going to go to Walker. Councilmember Walker.
I missed the unified basketball game at the high school, but the pictures looked amazing. I was really sad to miss that. And yeah, it's a special program. I wish they did it when I was there. I look forward to attending next year. I have one thing to report. At the Puget Sound Regional Council meeting last week, we had an update, and it was further explained by email today. The region lost 13,000 jobs in 2025. And for perspective, that level of loss, or in 2023, 11,000 jobs were added. 2024, 15,000 jobs were added. And in 2025, 13,000 jobs were lost. And I think that this trend is only going to continue with the way that AI is going to cut into white-collar jobs. White-collar jobs, the incomes of a white-collar worker in King County leads to 2 to 4 service jobs. And so for every one white-collar job loss in our region, it could cost 2 to 4 service jobs and all the other industries that that could affect. I'm really worried about the future economic outlook of our region. This is something that I'm going to start beating the drum at every opportunity possible, because obviously with those jobs being lost, the income being lost, the consumer spending being lost, all of that is also going to be reflected in our sales tax revenue for all the cities and counties in the area. So it's kind of a gloomy risk on the horizon, I think, that should be taken very, very seriously. And I think it should really entertain the conversation of more prudence with budget in all conversations. It's a serious risk, so that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
So I was able to make it on the 22nd, Thursday, 22nd Unified Basketball game, and as normal, the Monroe High School just did an outstanding job, and the students just showed up. It was so great to see full student section, band, and representation from both schools, and just a very inclusive event. Is always a highlight of the year, and I always say, like, if you're having a bad week, go to a Unified basketball game. I mean, it's really, you see sheer joy, and it's just a great event, and Monroe does it right. I will say there is another home game. Unfortunately, they switched it to a council night. So it is on February 10th, which is, I'm announcing right now, I will be late because you guys know my niece is on the team. And so I hope you guys will forgive me I will come here as soon as that's over, but it's a pretty big deal. And I want to make sure I'm there and supporting, but we'll have 2 home games this year. And so they're pretty excited about that. So that's it. And then I am off next week, so I'm going to be on a boat. So we'll see you guys, and I won't have a tan when I come back because I don't do that. Anyway.
We'll have a great vacation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor. I went down to the AWC Action Days over the week with Liam McCorkle, which was amazing. He was an amazing person to have with me, incredibly intelligent, keeps me on task, and is able to bring me in when I need to be, and he kind of lets me go when it's safe. But of course, down there talking about some of the Senate bills and House bills that we either support or don't support here as a city and as council. Had some really great conversations, had some really good time with some of our legislators. One of them, we're even able to be in there for like a half an hour. So people that aren't maybe familiar with it, you get anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes typically to go in there and talk, and you run through your stuff as fast as you can. There is really no time for pleasantries or conversations. You just go in there saying what your concerns are. Also sat in on some housing hearings, which is interesting. Little fact about myself, I could sit and listen to those hearings for hours. I know a lot of people fall asleep. They're like, oh my God, this is the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. I think they're fascinating. So it was that, and one thing our fire department might want to know is there's a bill to pass scissor stairways in buildings for state code as a one-way ingress and egress. So you no longer have 2. It's just a scissor staircase on one side of a building to shrink the footprint of the building. Not something that the city was concerned about, but with my past and looking at that, that was also very interesting. So another great trip down there. Great to talk to neighboring cities and developing plans amongst ourselves of how we can get together to make improvements for all of our communities. The biggest ones that came up for in conversation with me was Highway 2 and 522 and how we can kind of go after the state collectively as a coalition and try and get more movement on that stuff. So always an effective trip. And then the rest of council, if you don't know, is going to be down there, and the mayor, and I believe Deborah, and I think Liam again.
Yep.
We'll be down there in 2 weeks. So we kind of got the good 1-2 punch going on this year with the short session. Me going down there is just kind of warming them up a little bit, and then most of them going down there to do all of the heavy lifting. So it was great. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Blair.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. The next item is staff reports. The first report is the Police Department. Chief Jolly.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. There are 2 reports for November and December in your packet. I would just highlight a couple of significant events. In November, on November 14th, a woman was reported being attacked by her boyfriend. The children of the couple, or her children, were taken by the boyfriend. An Amber Alert was put out, and we had a successful resolution in how do you say that? Kittitas County Sheriff's Department located them, and they were brought safely home. And we also had on November 20th our K-9 assisting Snohomish County deputies in apprehending a domestic violence subject. In December, K-9 Apollo was instrumental in locating a suspect on the field where a person had fled from a police officer from a traffic stop, was later apprehended by the dog and arrested for DUI. And of course, the things we're most proud of is our community connections. In December, we had Toys for Tots Drive, where we gathered the most toys on record in Sean Van Eaton and his wife's history of organizing that. Very successful. And our Shop with a Cop event was also very good. Those community events are our bread and butter and the things we enjoyed the most. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Any questions, Council? Councilmember Blair.
I had a question. So of the ones that you highlighted, both of those had to do with domestic violence. And then when I'm looking at the calls, would those be under nuisance? Because I only see burglaries, vehicle prowls, vehicle thefts, vehicle recoveries, nuisance, and collisions. So I was wondering, I want to know if we have an increase in domestic violence. So are those, what category
That
are
is
those
one thing we
under?
don't delineate out. There
Okay.
are several categories, right, that we do in the annual report that we put out. It gets more finer in the details.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you. Chief, what date or approximate range did the flock cameras go online?
It was this month, probably within the last 2 weeks. They're not fully active now. Not everybody's using them. Not everybody's signed in. Not all the cameras are up, so.
I was just going to say the note about a November 14th significant case where a woman reported being attacked by her ex-boyfriend who fled in her vehicle and her 2 children were missing and the suspect may have taken them. That sounds like that'd be a pretty incredible save for Flock to make if that ex-boyfriend left in her car and it was able to do a license plate read as it left the town. So I just thought that was a great scenario where it could have been helpful or might be helpful in the future.
Yeah, that's the goal of the program, is to capture those serious criminal offenders or Amber Alerts, but we'll see.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Thank you. The next report is from Public Works. Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. In your packet is the Public Works report for roughly 3 months of the year. Because of the holidays, we don't have them in November, December, and now we're here in January. Leads off with the customer service stats. This is an annual update we provide for the council, just kind of looking at what calls and requests come in through Monroe Listens. This year there were 956 requests, not that far off from last calendar year. That works out to about 4 per working day, and that can range anywhere from somebody decided to leave us a gift of a couch in the right-of-way that needs to be removed, concern about traffic and maybe potentially traffic calming in a neighborhood where we coordinate with the police department and kind of work on a response there, or also water quality monitoring or any of those things that fall into that kind of area of the business. Also, 370 of those came in through Monroe Listens, and 586, roughly double, came in via phone or email. So, and probably, I'm going to say 100 of those came from me to Trevor directly. So you guys are always welcome to reach out to him as well. So, on the other side of the kind of customer service response is locating. So if you're going to dig underground, you need to call 411 before you dig. or 811, sorry, 811 before you dig. I should know that number. We had, let's see, 2,966 requests this year. Pretty substantial. That works out to about 12 per workday. We have two gentlemen in operations and maintenance that handle those for us, John Axman and Jesse Hackman. They do a fantastic job, and they also work on our metering side as well, so they do that kind of in combination. Really impressed with the work that they've done there. Going down on the report a little bit, we touch on the O&M team's work on the stormwater cleaning and inspections. That is a required thing that we must do on a 5-year rotating basis, and the O&M team is keeping up on that like they should. And then finally, we went down to Sky River Park, where the old trestle was down there, with Adopt a Stream Foundation. They brought their biologists down, and we did some work with Monroe students, roughly 40 students, 5 staff members down there, talking about the riparian habitat of Woods Creek and then also the Skycomish River. So that concludes my report. Mayor, back to you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Roberts? Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Roberts, how long have we had a Monroe Listens program?
Oh, goodness. I don't have
I'm
an answer
trying to stump you tonight. Well, the reason I'm asking is I really appreciate you and your team's work. This report represents so much hard work, hours and hours. The management of your entire department is incredible, and I love telling people that come to me with anything from complaints to comments, use Monroe Listens, because I know a Comcate will be created and it will be followed up on, and I trust that you get after it right away. It's a wonderful tool, and I just really appreciate knowing that that will happen quickly, it will be taken care of, and there will be a record, and it's just a great way for me to communicate with the city residents and let them know that we're on it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Thank you. Next report is community development. Mr. Bailey.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. The report for November, December for community development is in your packet. Just a couple of highlights. Our project of I guess, the 2-month period or end of year is the Garibaldi subdivision. We actually have issued all of the building permits, which were 90 in total. Some of the houses have already started building up there, but you'll see the rest of them being finished off. And I do want to point out that by the end of the year, we actually had a higher number of residential permits issued than we did last year. And it was actually a higher number than we've had since, well, what we're showing is 2019. So we did have, near the end of the year, a sort of a rush of building permits. I would say that the theme for 2026 is looking like, it's also reflected in the report, we're doing a lot of subdivisions and new townhouse projects. So I think that we're going to see a little bit of a drop off in the building permit side, but we're going to be sort of ramping up with new lots and new townhouse development. So I'll keep council informed of that. An update, this is not end of year, but it's just one of the things that I like talking about, is our upcoming permit tracking system, which everyone in the department is very excited about. And the team that we've been working with is going to be on site February 10th through the 12th to be doing implementation and training. So we'll actually be getting that started up. I'll give council a date of specifically when we'll have that live, but it should be early March. One of the things that I suspect that I know that we'll be able to do is to be able to create some better metrics to report on for all projects as we do project reports, and an upgrade in some of our graphics. I'll look at the ones that we have in there, and they're a little outdated. So keep your eye open for that. We were also, at the start of January, for the entirety of 2025, for staffing reasons, we had reduced down to only doing 4 days of building inspections. And as of January, we're back to doing 5 days. So that's all I've got for the report. If any has any questions.
Any questions, Council? Is that your flag? Councilmember Gamble.
What's the new system we're using for permit?
It's called LAMA, which is Land Asset Management.
Okay.
And I think I'm forgetting what the A stands for, but I can picture the animal, or
It's not a llama.
Our
It's
totem
llama.
for that. Yes.
No,
so.
I was just, I'm asking because ironically, I was on another city's website going through there, and I was like, man, this is really cool. And it looked like there was a ton of the local cities, Sammamish, Issaquah, so I'm not sure if it's the same, but there was a ton of, and it had it separated by building permits, right-of-way permits. Anyway, so.
Do you remember what city it was?
I was looking at the city of Issaquah, but then
Okay.
I realized when I hit the pop-down menu that it was like almost the whole east side, all of the cities that were in it. And I was like, oh, this is a system that everybody's using.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if we were going on our own, or if we were looking at a system that some of our other surrounding cities are using. Because I was able to go in there and do a search and put together a pivot and a report. I was like, geez, this is great.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what system Issaquah has, but I don't believe it's the one that we have. They're all somewhat similar, but people will be able to access through portals to be able to pull information out of there. So hopefully it'll be as impressive as that one.
Thank you. Any other questions? We also have an HR report. Mr. Wortham.
Think of me as the hidden song on the album you used to get. You didn't know it was coming, but now it's here. The mayor and I were talking tonight, wanted to give the council an overview on a number of positions that we have open. Currently, we have 6 positions in various stages of a recruitment. We're currently reviewing resumes for the utility billing position in Julie's group. We're actively recruiting for 2 police officers, to the gentleman to my left. This week, we're going to start recruiting for a parks manager position. And soon, we'll start recruiting for the backfill of the finance manager position. On February 12th, I will be headed back to have a larger discussion with the council to talk about just the ability to recruit for either a finance manager or a deputy finance director, either one of those depending on the skill sets, for a couple of reasons. The workload that we've discovered that just needs to be completed in finance, and just the history of the applications. We haven't really had a large number of that, so I'm trying to cast as wide a net as possible. We'll still only fill 1 position, but I'd like to get more applicants and hopefully with some greater skills on that. And then last, but certainly not least, as most of you know, Deborah has announced her retirement. As she tried to say,
she's not resigning, she's
She tried
retiring.
to say resignation, and I said, this is going in your file. You're retiring. You only get to do that once. So we fixed that. We're currently working on updating the candidate profile. It's been a long time, as you know, since we've had to fill that position. It actually said monitor lease for the gravel leases, which we don't even do anymore in her job description. So working with the mayor and the senior leadership to really identify what we want for knowledge, skills, and abilities for this next position. We're working with our communications team to create a recruitment material, nice flyer like you've seen for other positions. And then we're going to launch the position hopefully the first week of February. As part of that primary, the city is going to do this internally, but as a backup plan, I'll be back as well on the 10th to talk with council about authorizing a contract for an executive recruitment. So in the off chance we don't get enough candidates, or we don't move any candidates forward, that we can engage an executive recruiting team that can start helping us with that process right away.
Thank you.
Yeah, any questions?
Any questions, Council? Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. It's going to take months, if not years, to find someone of Deborah's talent.
It's starting already, Deborah.
But in all seriousness, there's a good chance that I'll be on business travel on the 10th. So I want to voice my support of whatever we need to do to get the best candidate available ASAP. Thanks.
Appreciate that. Councilmember Hanford, thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. On other news, Issaquah uses mybuildingpermit.com.
That's what I got it up.
Okay.
I was going to say it, yeah, and it's...
And the other one we're using is Llama, which is used by Los Angeles County. So it looks like they're about the same. So there you go. Looks like they're going to be amazing.
Well, so actually, my building, we will be using Llama and my building permit.
That's great.
In conjunction, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just looking it up as well.
Yeah, that's right. I've got, it's Auburn, Bellevue, Bothell, Burien, Edmonds, Federal Way, Issaquah, Kenmore, King County, Kirkland, Mercer Island, Mill Creek, Newcastle, Sammamish, and Snoqualmie. We're all on
Monroe.
mybuildingpermit.com. So that's cool. I was just in it today when using it and it was extremely easy to use.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Wortham? Councilmember Fulcher.
This is kind of a question for Ben, but also will be probably answered by one of you too. I thought we had paused a lot of the hiring for our budgetary reasons. So it's great that we're looking for people. How are we affording it?
Do you want to answer that?
Yes, fantastic question. We actually went over approximately a week ago with Julie Elsom, our finance director, to see exactly where we were at with our pay and benefits. And what we were able to show is that we had all of our positions funded for 2025 and 2026, including the positions that we spoke about this evening that Ben just shared. And at the end of 2026, we would have approximately a little better than $300,000 still remaining in salaries and benefits budget. We are planning to come back to the Finance Committee at its first meeting in February with kind of a complete breakdown and kind of a deeper dive into the budget overall, including this information. That presentation was provided to Mayor Cutterback, so we'll be sharing that same information with the City Council, and then that same night, we'll review it again with the entire City Council. So Finance Committee will get their first look, and then City Council will get the entire look after that.
I think that it's February 17th.
What did I say?
Yeah,
10th?
it's February 17th. That was
Excuse
part of
me.
my mayor's report. So we'll be doing a deep dive and wrap up of 2025 and 2026, and then that'll be presented to the whole council.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Councilmember Walker.
So that between now and that meeting on the 17th, we're still going to be actively trying to hire for those 6 positions.
Yes.
I would respectfully ask, if possible, that we hold on those since we're going to be doing the presentation that you've received and that the council is going to receive on that date. Because once any of those hires are made, it's not like if we have a conflicting sentiment on the 17th that it's going to be easy to scale back potential hires that have occurred between now and then. So.
Thank you for your comment. I believe the council had already approved that in the budget, and it's located in the 2026 budget. So we are, as a staff, moving forward and recruiting those positions. Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's part of the, I would have the same concern if it wasn't an approved budgeted position, but because that it's approved budgeted position, then we should actively go forward, because that's our role, is to approve budgets, and then we have them run the operations. We'll be reviewing. We're going to start that process, because we're going to go into a 2-year budget cycle, and then that's where we would provide direction and then vote on whether or not we want to, reduce, because the mayor will bring forth a recommendation, and then that's when we make those votes. But then once we have an approved budget, they need to operate in that environment. That's my 2 cents.
Councilmember Walker.
When we voted on that budget, we had fully funded reserves and contingency. That's when we voted on it. Our financial position is what we learned drastically different than it was at that time. And I think that it is totally proper for us to express appetite changes in hiring for positions with such huge fiscal impacts. So I understand we took a vote back then, but this is a very different time, so.
Thank you. Other questions for Ben Wortham or comments? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the extended agenda. Ms. Knight?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder for council that we will begin preparations for the 2027-2028 budget. And the first step in that process is sitting down together and talking about the city's strategic priorities and the 5-year strategic plan. So we'll be coming back to your meeting on February 3rd. Note, please, the 5:30 p.m. start time, and we will have dinner available for that evening.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh.
Yeah, no, I was gonna bring something else up.
Councilmember Gamble.
I mean, since we're in the budget mode, I didn't, surprised we didn't hear that, is it prudent for us to be buying dinner for council members if we're in a budget deal? So just something to think about.
Any other comments on the extended agenda for Ms. Knight? Thank you, Council. Next item is the administrative report. Ms. Knight?
Oh, sorry, we still have two more for the extended agenda.
You're still going.
I still finished one. It's all right.
Go forth.
Thank you. We have on February 10th, the Public Safety Committee will hold its first meeting, so it will have selection of chair, approval of meeting minutes, and jail options presented by Chief Jolly. The 7 p.m. council meeting that evening, regular business meeting, will have a public hearing on the interim housing ordinance, consent agenda items, and then department reports.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, now we will move on to the administrative
Excellent.
report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just looking at the council's legislative agenda, a reminder that bill cut off at the state legislature is February 4th, and that we will be down there together for a legislative visit on February 5th and 6th. That's Thursday and Friday. The city did submit a capital budget request for Wales Park ADA accessible playground. So that was submitted to our legislative representatives. Wanted to provide a kudos to our building department for Riverside Station, which is located on the east end of town, right by River's Edge Apartments. Adjacent to that, it's a mixed-use development, and they ended up in a situation where they needed to do some changes to their construction, and we, in our building department, Stacy, our building official, worked very, very closely with the builder and with the property owner in order to figure out a way to accommodate what they needed to get done and get them moving along once again. So they wrote in and thanked Stacy and the team for the work that he had done together. Also, a kudos to Matthew Bush, our senior engineer. He earned his project management professional certification, successfully passing a 4-hour exam. He's been with the city for about 2 years, since 2023. So glad to have him on board, and certainly glad that he now is a certified project management professional. Finally, December flood, a federal disaster declaration at the meeting in Olympia that Councilmember Fisher attended. The governor is requesting cities to sign a letter to make federal disaster declaration for individual assistance funding through FEMA available for both people and businesses. So I placed on the dais some information. There's a sample letter there that Association of Washington Cities provided, and if council is interested, we can put something together in order to express the city council's support to sign on to the governor's letter.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Please let the record show that this is one of the very rare times that I will be supporting what our governor is saying. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering if we are having a meeting prior to our legislative visit to Olympia, if we'll be getting together to talk about strategy and
Yes,
leave,
absolutely.
et cetera.
Liam McCorkle is out sick today, but he and I spoke last week, and the intent is to do kind of our regular process where we have 3 council members meet before the meeting and 3 meet after the meeting
Perfect.
in order to ensure that we're not violating quorum.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Councilmember Walker?
I'd like to ask for a council vote between now and the executive session. So whether that happens now or after, maybe it happens after the executive session. I don't know when that would be proper.
Council vote on what?
On the signing on to the governor's
No,
letter.
no, something separate, a different item.
You think you have to make a motion first
Yeah.
to add an
Add to
item
the agenda.
agenda?
I'd like to add an item to the agenda. The question that I'm hoping for the council to vote on is to advocate, or actually as the council controls the budget, for a hiring freeze between now and the presentation at the council on the 17th.
Is there a second? Seeing no second, the motion fails. Thank you. Thank you, council. The next item is the mayor's report. Just a few things. So I attended the United basketball game on Thursday night. It was wonderful. If you haven't done it and you have a chance to do it, totally uplifting. Agree with everything Councilmember Gamble said. And thank you for bringing that up at council and encouraging people to go. Last Friday, met with the mayor of Sultan, Russell Witta, and just discussed how we can collaborate. A great meeting, really enjoyed talking to him, very supportive of 522, very supportive of work on Highway 2, and not just for safety, but for capacity too. So I think it's going to be a great relationship. So I'm excited for our cities to work together on that. Wearing my Jamie Bindle run shirt. I did not run, I walked. But that was last Sunday, and it's just a great event. You know, thank you so much for Monroe PD. The chief was there, the deputy chief, Commander Ryan were all present, and chief spoke before the run, and he just did Monroe proud and the PD proud, so thank you for your words at the run. It was great. Happy to report that Councilmember Fisher and Councilmember Hanford have agreed to stay on the left board, so really appreciate that and appreciate your work on there, so thank you for your service. And part of my mayor's report was going to announce that we're going to do a deep overview of the 2025 budget at the Finance Committee meeting and then bring to council for full review, and I have full faith and confidence. Julie, myself, Deborah sat down and really did a deep dive into the budget. So I appreciate council at the end of last year making the hard decisions you had to make to amend the budget. So I really appreciate that. I think it's put us in a really good position to move forward and to fill these positions. So feel fortunate to work with such a great staff who problem solve and come together, and appreciate Ben's, what he does in HRs. So thank you for that. And then I can't believe anybody up here didn't say it, go Seahawks. I was waiting for somebody in the report to say that, but this is a big deal. We're going to the Super Bowl. So I watched it in Ixtapa with a bunch of community residents, and there's something really powerful about community getting together and watching your sports team and cheering together. It was just great. So go Seahawks, excited. I'm sure Gamble will be watching, and thank you tonight, council. Thank you for all your questions and comments. Really appreciate it.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Got to end with that one. So there is a need for an executive session this evening. The city council will convene an executive session for the purpose of discussing potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, subset 1, subset I, for, looking at you, Ms. Knight, 10 minutes, 20 minutes? No, 10.
I start with 10.
Okay, for 10 minutes. The regular meeting the city clerk will announce any extensions. The regular meeting will reconvene after the executive session, and there may be action taking, if nothing else, to adjourn the meeting. The executive session is now beginning at 8:44.
Yeah, that's probably the right.
The executive session has been extended 10 minutes. The executive session has been extended 5 minutes. The executive session has been extended 3 minutes.
We are out of executive session. If there's no objections, we will adjourn the meeting. Seeing no objections, the meeting is adjourned. I did that without the cheat sheet.